When James Wade was asked to name the greatest moment of his entire darts career, he didn't reach for a single one of his 11 major titles. His answer was 4 words about a woman who walked onto a stage one night in 2012. And to understand why, you have to know what was happening inside him long before she got there. If you follow darts, you know James Wade as The Machine, an 11-time PDC major winner and, in the eyes of many, the finest left-hander the sport has ever produced. He sits 4th on the all-time major list, trailing only Phil Taylor, Michael Van Gerwen and Luke Littler. The trophies are not what we are here for though. We are here for the people who stood beside him through the highs on the ockey and the lowest points of his life, so let us begin where he began. James Martin Wade arrived on the 6th of April 1983 in the Aldershot area, right on the Hampshire and Surrey border. That middle name carries weight in this story because Martin is also his father's name. Martin Wade is no footnote here. Father and son went into business together back in 2012, opening a garage in Aldershot called Precision Auto Services. That garage tells you nearly everything you need to know about who James Wade really is. Long before the trophies arrived, he turned wrenches as a mechanic, and that is exactly where the nickname The Machine was born. He worked at a garage in Aldershot, and walking away from that trade did not come easily to him. Just 12 days before the 2006 World Match Play, he quit the garage job to chase the professional game full-time. Cars never loosened their grip on him though. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, he came back to the family garage and offered NHS workers and key workers a 20% discount, and his reason ran deep. In his own words, "To keep myself in the right frame of mind, I work on cars, which are my passion. I can feel my happiest at the garage. There is no one there to judge me but myself." That phrase, "there is no one there to judge me but myself," threads through this entire story. I want to be straight with you about one thing. We know his father Martin, and we know about the garage, but his mother's name and background have never been confirmed by any reliable source, so I will not invent one for you. What we do know is that his parents witnessed some of his earliest and hardest moments. Even as a child, James sensed something was different, and the way he later described it stays with you. "I always knew, from even when I was 11 or 12 years old, that I was different," he admitted, before adding something striking. "I had a very different outlook on life to other kids, and I remember even asking my mom and dad if I was disabled mentally." Darts pulled him in seriously at 14, and his first competitive event handed him the Basingstoke Open. He joined the PDC in 2004. By 2007, at just 24, he had lifted the World Match Play, becoming the youngest player ever to capture a PDC major at that point. Across 2007 and 2008, by his own account, nobody in the world played better. The success arrived with a price almost nobody could see, and that brings us to the part of his life where James Wade has shown more courage than almost anyone in the sport. In 2009, at the very peak of his powers, James Wade received a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. The sources framed the timing a little differently, with Wikipedia and the PDC dating it to 2009, while the BBC has reported that he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and ADHD at the age of 27. What stays consistent is what came next. Around 2010, he checked into the Priory clinic, where his stay stretched to 28 days, and on admission, he was placed on what is called Suicide Amber Watch. He has never softened how dark it became. Describing a birthday spent in bed, his words land hard. "On my birthday, a year ago, I stayed in bed all day and cried. I wanted to have a heart attack. I wanted to die." Here is the part that sets Wade apart from most athletes. He has openly admitted that the very thing he excelled at, darts, was part of what broke him. The way he put it is unflinching. "Before it all came to a head, in 2007 and 2008, I was probably the best player in the world for those 2 years consistently. I think that darts really pushed me over the edge in my problems. It has given me so much, but it has taken just as much as it has given me. The pressure of having to perform and being recognized and earning good money, that is what pushed me over the edge." Fans caught glimpses of the struggle over the years. During a first-round defeat at the 2012 World Grand Prix, Wade looked visibly unsettled and flew home for treatment. PDC chairman Barry Hearn framed it plainly at the time. "The most important thing for James is that he gets his health right, and we echo the sentiments of darts fans everywhere at this difficult time for him." Many fans still remember a moment from the 2019 World Championship. In a match broadcast in December 2018 against Japan's Seigo Asada, Wade celebrated with real aggression, and what he told Sky Sports afterwards stunned viewers. I kept giving it to him. I wanted to hurt him. I wanted to really hurt him in his face. That was for my son and also for a bit of the UK. An apology followed on Twitter where he explained what had been happening behind the scenes. I was fighting a battle with myself before I even got on the stage due to a hypomania episode which can happen to me at any time, and no one is more upset than I am about what happened. A £5,000 fine came from the Darts Regulation Authority. Years of being assessed over and over had worn him thin, and he admitted as much to Metro. I've had 6 years of seeing psychiatrists and I'm sick of it. I don't want to do it because you haven't got a plaster cast or a scar. It's not recognised by a lot of people. So that is the man, brilliant but battling. Against exactly that backdrop, the most important person in his story walks onto the stage. And I mean that literally, because walking onto a stage is how James Wade met his wife. Her name is Samantha, Sammi Marsh. Back in 2012, she worked as a glamour model and a walk-on girl for the PDC, the person who escorts players onto the stage. The two of them crossed paths when she walked him on before a Premier League match. Their relationship began in 2013. An engagement followed that same year in April, and on the 8th of August 2015, James Wade married Sammi Marsh. Wikipedia lays it out directly. On August 8th, 2015, Wade married model Sammi Marsh, who he has been in a relationship with since 2013. Marsh worked for the PDC as a walk-on girl and often accompanied Wade during his entrance. She is now Wade's manager. That final detail matters enormously. Sammi did not simply become his wife, she became his manager, which meant the woman who once walked him to the ockey now runs his entire career. Asked once to name the greatest moment of his darting life, Wade reportedly did not reach for a title at all. His answer was, meeting my wife Samantha. Before Sammi, Wade had been linked to Soccer AM presenter Helen Chamberlain, roughly between 2008 and 2010. He addressed those rumours head on at the time. Some of the things I've read are not quite true, but we all have good friends, whether they are male or female. Helen loves darts, perhaps that's why we get on so well, but people are putting 2 and 2 together and making 7. Sammi became his anchor, and in 2025 the couple marked their 10th wedding anniversary together. Then came the children, and this is where the change in James Wade becomes impossible to miss. His first son, Arthur James Wade, was born on Monday the 8th of October 2018 at 12:39 in the afternoon, and Wade announced the news himself on Twitter. 13 days later, on the 28th of October 2018, he captured the European Championship, beating Simon Whitlock 11-8, and his words afterward told the whole story. That was for my son, Arthur. His second son, Alfred, known as Alfie, George Wade, arrived on Thursday the 4th of August 2022 at 10:37 in the morning, weighing 8 pounds 6 ounces. Wade's announcement carried a touch of humour. Arthur would like to announce the end of his reign as the only child. Introducing Alfred, Alfie, George Wade. Fatherhood rearranged his entire outlook. The way he described that first moment says it all. As soon as Arthur was born and I held him in my arms, I knew things had to change, as I knew I didn't want to miss any of their growing up. I think I cry more when I go away now than Arthur or Alfie does. He has also been honest about the strain his career places on the family, and on Sammi above all. It's also hard on my wife Samantha. She is basically raising them as a single parent, which isn't fair. The family and the health struggles collided in the summer of 2022. On the 8th of May that year, during the European Darts Open in Leverkusen, Germany, Wade fell ill and was rushed to hospital with a racing heart, high blood pressure, nausea, and dizziness. He treated it as a warning shot, and what he reached for in that moment says everything about how far he had come. I've got a lot to live for, a beautiful wife, a lovely son, another baby on the way, so many good things to be around for. Sammi, at that point, was carrying Alfie. The family story has carried on into the present, and it has taken on a new dimension. Across 2024 and 2025, Wade revealed that his elder son Arthur, who turned 7 in 2025, has been facing developmental difficulties and was being assessed for ADHD, the very condition James himself lives with. After beating Luke Littler at the 2025 European Championship, his thoughts went straight to his boy. "It's a great thing for someone like my son that's struggling at the moment," he said, and then he spoke directly to Arthur. "I do things like this now, just to say to my son, who's 7 years old, that we all have our little differences, but we can do it. And I told you, Arthur, we can do it." He has even talked about setting up a charity for neurodivergent people, which fits a pattern, because turning his own pain into advocacy is something James Wade has done for years. In 2024, he opened up once more about how his condition had dragged down his form, including a health scare he hid even from his wife at first. He told the PA news agency, "In the last 4 months, I have been up and down with my moods and very chaotic at times." The resolution to that story came from home, where his wife held my hand and booked me an appointment with the specialist. His escapes, he said, are restoring old cars and fishing. That advocacy reaches far beyond his own household. Wade has served as an ambassador and patron of the charity Bipolar UK since 2016, and he wears their logo on his shirt. In September 2022, he drove 501 miles from Scotland to London in a £501 Ford Focus, all to raise money for the charity. On the 22nd of August 2025, he hosted a Let's Talk Bipolar fundraising day and gala dinner for Bipolar UK, an event that pulled in darts names like Gerwyn Price, Dave Chisnall and Michael Smith. His message about why all of this matters is blunt. He called Bipolar UK probably one of the worst funded charities, and the warning he gave cuts deep. The last thing you want is someone ending their life because they're having a bad day with their illness, and that happens far too often. He has stayed just as honest about the limits of his own coping, even now. Even with the diagnosis, I still don't know how to manage myself emotionally, but I am what I am. I'm 41 and I don't think I'm going to change now. So where does all of this leave us? James Wade is still going strong. At the 2026 World Championship, he beat Ryusei Azumoto 3-0 before losing 3-2 to Ricky Evans, a 4th straight second-round exit, and he reached the UK Open final only to run into Luke Littler once again. The trophies that would complete his story still hang just out of reach. That was never really the point of this video though. Strip away the 11 majors and the endless, greatest, never to win a Worlds debate, and what remains is something far simpler. A mechanic from Aldershot who built a garage with his dad, a man who told his parents as a child that he feared something was wrong with him and who turned out to be living with bipolar disorder, a player who said darts pushed him over the edge, and a walk-on girl who walked into his life and became his wife, his manager, and the person who books his appointments when he cannot do it himself. 2 little boys, Arthur and Alfie, who turned the toughest competitor in darts into a man who freely admits he cries when he leaves for a tournament. When James Wade was asked for the greatest moment of his darting life, he did not name a single title. He said, "Meeting my wife Samantha." Once you know the whole story of his family, you understand exactly why. Mental health is a sensitive subject, and parts of this story touch on real struggles with depression and suicidal thoughts. If any of it resonates with you personally, please reach out to someone you trust, or a support service in your country, and I can point you toward resources if that would help.